Hello everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio. Today I'm sharing with you a swap style video hop that I'm hosting with a few other people from YouTube that have also made videos. The way this worked was that everyone sent a business size envelope with things that related to April showers bring May flowers, those type of little bits and bobs, to another person in the swap, and then the people all use those things in the envelope to make some sort of project. The project was up to them. They just needed to use stuff from the envelope. So my partner for this one was Tanya McGuire, and of course her link to her video as well as all the other videos in the hop will be in the description box below. You can just click on the first one, go to it, then the next one, click on the first one, go to it until you're back to me, and then you will have completed the hop. So at the beginning of the video, you saw the envelope and all the things that she sent me. And of course, April showers bring May flowers. It's going to be floral themed, right? It's going to be something about flowers in spring, and that was the whole point of this hop. So everyone has floral type stuff that they got from their partner. So I have some different papers, painty paper that has two different colors, one on each side, a doily, the lavender paper that looks like it's probably wrapping paper. That was the kind of feel it had to it. Some die cuts and some stamped tissue with flowers on it. The general theme seemed to be pinks and purples, lavender, which is cool with me because I love those colors and they're great for spring. So I decided that I would make a page in my homemade journal that this is the very last page of the book, so it's complete. And for those of you who want to flip through, there'll be one probably in my vlog that should be coming up. I think this is coming out on May 1st, so my vlog should be very near there, and I'll show a flip of the entire book, a quick flip. So I wanted to change the color of this doily, so I'm just using some yellow paint, yellow acrylic paint, and an artist sponge to make it a yellow doily, which then makes it the sun peeking out from behind the mountains. And then I tore the different papers into mountainy landscape type shapes. So that's what I'm going to do for the background of my page. So once I've chosen all my different papers and figured out how I'm going to put them in the background, I'm using Liquitex matte gel medium to attach them to the page. This is a medium that I prefer for using for collage, and it is thicker than a fluid medium. A lot of people use a fluid medium. This one is a gel formula, so it's just a little bit thicker. And I have my Tim Holtz Collage Distress brush there that I'm using to apply it. And on the thicker papers, I will put the matte medium on both the background paper and the back of the paper I'm attaching to make sure I get a good coat on there to make it nice and thick. If it's a thinner paper like this wrapping paper, then I just put it on the page and then smooth it down with the brush, which also has some medium on it, which is now sealing the top, which will give me options for doing some shading later on, because it seals everything in and makes sure that all the color is sealed in. So I decided I needed a few more little mountain shapes. So I tore a couple more because it seemed like there was a lot of space in between the ground that I had done and then the next layer. There was just like kind of a blank space. So I tore a couple other pieces before I attached the rest of them that I had torn previously. And it just looks like a rocky mountain ridge, which I definitely have outside of my window. There's a Push Ridge Mountains, which are pointy and rocky like that. So Of course, the colors are not what they would be unless it was maybe very early morning, but hey, it's a whimsical page. So it's going to have a lot of small flowers and then a very large flower, which would be like a dinosaur flower if this was supposed to be realistic. But that's how art goes. You make interesting, fun things, and it doesn't have to be real or proportionate or anything. It just has to be what you like. And so that's what's fun about art journaling. You can just make a fun thing in your book and entertain yourself and express your creativity. So there was a few different die cut shapes, and there was in different colors. And so I decided to use the stem from the green one, and then one of the flowers from a pattern paper, and then another, and then part of another flower. I just trimmed them apart to use different pieces. And then the green paper is light green on the back, and so I used the light green to put the stamen on the flower. And I'm going to just glue all of those together eventually. But I thought they needed to be edged first because they don't, I don't know, they just didn't seem finished. So I got out some, the colors for these will be in the description box below along with links, but it's a purple and a green archival ink. This type of ink, of course, is permanent once it's dry, so I don't have to worry about getting it all wet and smeary when I attach it to the page. So that's the reason I'm using the archival ink. And I'm just using a sponge dauber to sponge around the edges and make that focal image seem a little bit more finished. I'm also going to sponge the edges of this butterfly cutout that was in there. And I do end up using the rest of the die cuts on a couple cards, and you'll see those in the pictures at the end of the video. I use a lot of thank you cards for things like commissions and donations and things like that. So I always like to make thank you cards, and I use the rest of the purple or lavender paper and the rest of the die cuts to create a couple cards. So now I'm just attaching the different pieces together on the main flower with some permanent glue stick so that it's all one piece when I go to glue it down. And then I'm going to work on using some of these stamped images. It's a fun thing to do to stamp in permanent ink on tissue paper, and it makes it really easy to put it in something that's kind of bumpy like this book. I mean, this is the last page of this journal. It's so textured and bumpy from all the other stuff in there. And so if I was to try to actually use a rubber stamp to stamp on it, it would be difficult. It wouldn't come out as a nice clear stamp. So it's always awesome to have these stamped images around on tissue paper, and you just cut them out using a wet brush, and they just tear really easy, and that gives you kind of a fluffy torn edge. And then you can attach them using fluid matte medium or napkin decoupage, and you can't even tell that they were on tissue paper. The tissue paper completely disappears. It looks as if you stamped them on your page. Also, it's a fun thing to do to swap these because you can get stamped images that you don't own. You don't own the stamp, but you can get them from people that you swap with, and then they, of course, get ones that they don't own. So a stamped image swap is always a fun thing to join. Inexpensive, too, because you can just mail it really easily with a single stamp because it's nice and light. So I'm attaching all these little things that were on the stamped tissue to my page using fluid matte medium. This is Liquitex as well, but it's a more fluid formula, which works great for very thin things like tissue paper. And then I want to also put my large flower on there, but this one is cardstock. It's a much heavier weight paper that has been cut in with a die cut. And so I'm going to need to use a different glue to put that down. I could use the thicker matte medium, which would be the Liquitex matte gel medium, or in this case, I ended up using tacky glue just to to make sure it was good and stuck since it had several layers and it was thick. I decided to use some of the washi tape that she sent. Something that annoys me is when things don't have a base, like a flower is floating in and doesn't have ground to grow it in. So I decided to use torn pieces of this chevron washi tape to just make a little bit of ground down there for my flower to stand in or grow in or whatever you want to say. So everything is pretty much stuck down except for the big flower at this point, and I need to get my tacky glue. I just put the tacky glue on and then I smear it around to make sure it gets all the way to the edges using my finger, and this makes it stick better because it starts the tacky process and it also spreads the glue out all around, but nothing is oozing around the edges. And then I just use a damp baby wipe to make sure that everything's pressed down. If you press down with your finger, you might have something on your finger that might transfer into the glue and muck up your page, and that happens to me a lot. So I like to use a just slightly damp baby wipe to press things down when I'm doing that. So I decided to sponge with the sponge dauber around the edge just to give it a finished edge with that purple color. And then I'm on to adding color onto the stamped images using some Posca pens. These pens are an acrylic paint and they're very opaque. And they are made by Posca, Uni Posca. So I have a couple different sets out here. I've got the Naturals set, which is a lighter kind of pastels, and then I have the regular set that has the brighter colors, and then I have a black and a white fine that I use all the time, and I'm just adding a little bit of color to the leaves, to the flowers. I'll do the butterflies, and like in the case of that butterfly that is on the left lower side here, I can use this very pastel yellow, and because this type of marker is opaque, it colors right over everything, even though that was over some dark part of that mountain side there. So that's the reason that I picked the Posca, is because they're opaque. They're not translucent. If I'd used a regular marker, you would still see that dark part of the mountain through the butterfly. And I want the butterfly to be in front of the mountain. So I get all those colored, and then I decide that I need to add some illustration lines. This is something that I enjoy doing, and even on the cards that you'll see in the pictures at the end, I do this. It just makes a die cut look more personal. It's my own hand writing the lines and kind of drawing and making it more of whimsical and cute. And I also think that it stands out better from the background when I do that. And then I use a white marker Posca pen, same type of pen, to add highlights. And I just think that that looks nice. I'm also going to do this along the bottom and around. What do I end up doing? No, I guess I don't end up doing it around anything. I do something else. Adding a few highlight lines with my white Posca. I don't think that I could do an art journal page without a white Posca pen. I just love them so much. They're my best friend. This is when I decide that I really can't stand it without shadows. You know, I like my shadows and highlights. So I get out some Faber-Castell Pitt pen, which is an India ink in a pen. And because all this has been sealed over with the matte medium, it's very easy to blend in the first few seconds that this pen is on there with your finger. And then, of course, once it's dry, it's permanent because it's India ink is a permanent type of medium. So I go around the mountains and things and add some shadows, which I think makes it look more finished. I also go around the main image and add a little bit of shadows around it as well with this purple, you know, the same color of purple, only it's in the Faber-Castell Pitt pen. So I hope you're enjoying this video. If you are, please remember to give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment or question below, subscribe if you haven't already, and of course, don't forget to go down below the video and click on the links. Go to all the other participants in the hop and give them some love. Give them positive feedback. give them thumbs up, leave them comments, because they worked really hard to do this swap just like I did. And so everyone deserves a little bit of love. So I decided to just do a little bit of color onto my sunshine to make it look a little bit more like a sunshine. And so I used some dark yellow and some light orange to kind of blend using those same Faber-Castell pit pins. And then I have some white splatter on there that is from my Posca pen. And I add some words that I got out of one of the Tim Holtz chat sticker books. And my page is done. So I hope everyone enjoys it. Happy May Day. And just don't forget to go and click through all the links. That's it for me. Thanks. Bye-bye.